in grade 10. My goal is to advance my portrait sketching skills to make them more realistic. Normally as an artist, for me, I've only been working on landscapes more than portraits. And for me, working on portrait sketching is a lot harder than working on landscapes. Portraiture requires different techniques and skills that are different from landscape drawing. For example, when you're drawing portraits, you need to be able to blend in your strokes to make sure the skin of the face you're drawing turns out to be smooth, or it turns out to be a specific texture that you require it to be. For my personal project, the global context I chose was identities and relationships. Identities and relationships is basically how students explore different values and beliefs of different types of people. Along with this, students also explore physical, mental, spiritual, and psychological health. This global context is related to my project as I'm an African myself and I intend to draw African influencers. Through my perception, Africa is viewed through a narrow perspective, and this depicts Africa to be undeveloped. As a Tanzanian Indian descent, I want to show that being African is a dynamic identity. Because of such perceptions, Africa is taken to be as a continent that can't achieve major accomplishments. Along with this, I also want to show that being an African does not mean you cannot achieve major accomplishments. I intend to bring everyone together through my artwork and to also motivate other artists who have a passion for art. Back when I was 4 years old, I started off by drawing small houses, objects, and I was also doodling. This helped me get a feel of how to move the pencil around and also giving me an idea of how to create different objects. Art has been a passion for me since the age of 4 years old, and I've always been motivated by my grandmother. At the age of 6, I was given much more professional art equipment such as professional drawing pencils and also professional sketching paper. When working with my art teacher, I was introduced to many new skills and techniques such as stroking, shading, blending, and other aspects of art. These were aspects which I didn't already know when I was self-learning. Along the way, with the practice of help, I was able to develop my art skills and techniques and create much more better art pieces. For me, I try to keep my process and steps very simple. I started off with my research when I had to find for 10 different sources, which also explained and gave me a base foundation on what sketching was and different elements of sketching and how I could get started onto portrait sketching. After that, I had to find out what my goal was, what my global context was, what my inspiration was, and how I wanted to do this. After working on my research, I began to work on my first sketch, which was working on the President of Tanzania, who was John Pombe Magufuli. After working on the first sketch, I began to work on criterion A and criterion B for my personal project report. After working on both those criterions, I began to work on my second sketch, which was the king of the Zulu kingdom, who was called Setshwayo Kampande. During sketching the first sketch, I decided to have a second sketchbook, which was used for practice book. This is where I practice my skills and techniques to keep my skills and techniques intact. After working on the second sketch, I began to work on criterion C and D for my personal project report. After working on my whole report, I gave it in for feedback. After getting feedback, I uploaded it for the final submission. Throughout this process, what I found challenging was creating the right form and structure for the face. This is because if I was not able to create the right form and structure for the face would not come out realistic compared to what image I was drawing it from. What turned out to be pretty well was my shading work. This is because as I was younger, I self-taught myself on how to shade. I used to shade small objects such as cars, apples, and other simple objects. Just that when I came to my personal project, since I was dealing with portrait sketching, I had to take on a bit more intensified shading and had to work on a little more detail. This was because I had to create the right skin tone and the right texture for the portrait. My final product was two A3 sketches, one of them which was the President of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli, and the second one was the King of the Zulu Kingdom, Setshwayo Kampande. Both sketches were on A3 papers, and this was because I wanted my sketches to be big and to be noticed from somewhere far. With the help of personal projects, I've been able to evolve myself from drawing small objects such as cars, tables and chairs, and now with the help of personal projects, I've been able to evolve myself to be able to draw realistic portrait faces, such as the ones I've just drawn. Next time, I intend to draw portrait sketches which are for animals. This is because I want to take on portrait sketching for faces that have a lot more hair around their faces, and some animals have a lot more hair on their faces. I intend to take on animal faces because hair has always been something hard for me to draw, and this will be a new challenge for me. For this personal project, I only worked on 2 sketches. Next time, I would like to do more than 2 sketches, maybe 3 or 4, as this would make me work on my time management skills and also my perseverance.